Hey guys, it's Courtney here from Flynit, and today I'm going to share with you one way to help minimize the appearance of any jogs at the join when you're knitting stripes in the round. And I do have another tutorial that uses the same technique when it comes to single stripes, but I wanted to make a separate tutorial here that helps walk you through the process when you're dealing with the wider stripes. And you guys know what I'm talking about. You have this beautiful hat that you've spent all this time making and the stripes look awesome on the front. But when you turn it over to the back, wah wah, right? You've got all these jagged spots in the stripes. And that's because when you're knitting in the round, you're essentially knitting in a spiral. So each round is gonna get a little bit higher than the one before it, and it creates this kind of ugly look right at the join for your stripes. And then I have another sample that I made in which I used that technique that I'm about to show you. Here's the front side, stripes look awesome, but then check this out, guys. This is the back side and the stripes look just as good. So I'm gonna walk you through that process on how to minimize the jogs in the join for your stripes right now. So I've started knitting a third sample here, and as you can see, I've already completed the brim and my first stripe section in the oatmeal color, and I'm ready to start knitting my second stripe in the black color. So I'm going to knit this round mostly as usual. I'm going to join that black, and I'm going to then knit around, and I'm going to meet you back here when I get to a few stitches before the beginning of round marker. Okay, so I'm a few stitches before my beginning of round marker, and I'm going to continue knitting with my black until I reach the end of my round. And at this point, this is where we're going to minimize that jog in your stripe. And you can remove your stitch marker. Okay, I know that's scary. Remove that stitch marker. And this is just because this maneuver becomes too fiddly if you keep that stitch marker on, okay? So what I'm going to do now is insert my right needle purlwise into the right leg of the stitch below the stitch that's on my left needle, okay? And I'm going to lift it up onto my left needle. So it's right next to each other, right? Now I'm going to knit those two stitches together. And when you do this, you just want to make sure, because you've got the tail end that you've just joined, you want to make sure that you get that tail together with that stitch below. So you knit them both together, okay? And then you knit them together and let it go onto your right needle. And now we are going to replace our marker and continue knitting in the round with our black color. And I just want to point out that this method does shift your beginning of round one stitch to the left each time you switch colors. So if you are working on a hat that is all stripes, this is not going to affect you at all. That one stitch is not going to make a difference. Or if you are working on, say, a color work chart that has stripes to start the chart and then a different motif at the top, this won't affect you either. Or if you have a color work chart that has a different motif, say hearts at the bottom, and it ends off the chart with stripes, that won't affect you either. The one time it would affect you is, say, the stripes are in the middle of a chart and you've got a different motif at the bottom, say hearts, stripes, and then hearts again. When you knit that stripe section, you're gonna throw off the center of that chart if you use this technique. So it's just something to be aware of. And I like using best when I'm knitting all stripes or knitting a pattern that has a chart that either begins or ends with stripes. Okay, so I'm going to continue knitting in the round with my black, and I will meet you back here when I've completed all of the rounds in this stripe section. All right, so I finished my section of black that I wanted to knit, and I'm back at my beginning of round, and you can already tell after doing the maneuver I just walked you through that that stripe looks really clean. And here's obviously what I've been knitting, and here's, just to show you again, that jog. So I'm at this point here, and there's no jog in the join. So I'm ready to add my next stripe in the oatmeal color, and I'm going to cut off the black yarn and add my oatmeal. And again, I will meet you back here once I've knit around as usual. All right, so I've knit around as usual in my oatmeal color, and I am one stitch before my beginning of round marker at the end of my round. So I'm gonna knit that last stitch, and we're gonna do that maneuver again. where I remove my marker, and I'm going to use my right needle to grab the right leg of the stitch below the stitch on my left needle, pull it up so they're sitting together, and then we're going to be careful when we knit these two together. There's that tail. We want to make sure we grab that tail and knit it together with that stitch. Okay, now I'm going to replace my marker and I'm going to continue knitting in the round. And so you're just going to keep using that same method every time you switch colors, okay? It's the same process each time, and that is going to help prevent this moi situation on the back of your hat and turn it into beautiful front as well as beautiful back, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope you are able to use it in your own knitting. Can't wait to share more with you next time. Follow me on Instagram at Flinit to see what I'm working on next.